Hi everybody, it's Craig. Welcome to my gear vid. Joining me this evening are, in the background you might see there, Admiral Akbar, Darth Vader and Levi the Leviathan swimming around quite happily. Behind me is the Lake District, supported and assisted by Brewdog, Punk IPA this evening. So, it's the gear vid. Mostly everything has all been said before. A lot of my gear is very similar, if not identical, to many of the other guys that you might have, guys and ladies that you might have watched on YouTube. So I'm not going to go into that. What I want to highlight this evening is two things really that I think are worth considering, worth a little chat. Now, in my first video, I mentioned the word gear freak, and I was talking about how, yeah, I can be, but I've made good use of my stuff, blah, blah, blah. Getting new gear for wild camping and walks and everything else is a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. I do suffer from shiny object syndrome on occasion, but I think there's something even sweeter than getting new gear, and it's when you can bring an older piece of gear out of retirement and get a fresh new use for it, new life, etc. Okay, I'll show you and I'll explain it a lot better. In this little dry bag here, I gotta admit, I do like dry bags. I don't think you should seek to put everything in dry bags. If there is a way of putting it in your bag without a dry bag, and it means you get more space to store, to get stuff in your bag, brilliant, do that. But for me, there just comes a point sometimes where dry bags keep stuff safe. They keep it away from stuff away from pegs and things that can get snagged. So I do have some dry bags, but like I say, I don't look for dry bags and then try and find stuff to put in them. They seem to all have a purpose. So in this little one here, little X-Bed dry bag, is an old pillow of mine. I'll take it out now. You can see the size that packs down to. Okay, that's next to nothing. So if I take this out of here, this is an old Thermarest pillow. It is now a pillowcase, which I'll explain. Right, it's well over 20 years old. It's probably coming on for 30 years. It's been washed, all right, and it did used to have its own filling, a sort of polyester filling that ended up in little knotty bits, and it was a whole lot of use. And with that, it also didn't pack down particularly small either. It had like a drawstring thing, and when you packed it, it was still fairly sizable and all this sort of stuff. So. But it was a favourite. It's been there since pretty much the start of my wild camping days. So like I said, probably coming on for 30 years. I updated my gear somewhere along the line, and I got one of these X-Bed inflatable pillow things. Right now, without me having to blow it up even more, you can see it's got a sort of special shape. It's actually advertised with this. It's got this little dip in here, which is meant to sort of cut into your shoulders and allow you to get comfy like that, right? It's actually fatter this side when you buy it than it is this side. This side's kind of thinner. Now, that's great, but what I found I was doing was, while I was sleeping, if I was sleeping on my side, I had it this way. If I wanted to lie on my back, I had to kind of half wake up, turn it around, and then put it so that it's like this, and it's bigger that way. Pain in the neck. Right, now I had a smaller one of these previously, and I realised by accident, because I punctured it, that you can actually tease apart the little baffles inside, and they're overpriced anyway. They're like 30 odd 40 quid, and I know from watching guys like Paul Messner and all that you can get them as good for less, half the price. So anyway, I was a sucker. I bought this. So what I did was I teased apart the little baffles, right, and then if I deflate it a little bit, bear with me, shove it in here. Now what I have done is, my favourite old pillow, I cut into it, I'd taken out the sort of polyester stuffing, right, put this inside, okay, bear with me, let's get this, right, only half blow it up because you don't want it to, your head to be rolling off it, right. There you go. I I'm delighted with this. I've got my old favourite pillow back. So it's brought that out of retirement. I'm using the Expert thing better. I don't have to turn it around in my sleep. It's one, get it in my sleeping bag, head on, sideways, backwards, on my face, whatever. Right, works a treat. So I'm really chuffed with that. Just wanted to share that because it's not all about getting shiny gear. Sometimes if you can find a way of revitalising, bringing old gear back out of retirement, I think it's an even bigger joy than getting new gear. Okay, then on to my second item. In my first video, Guilty Pleasures Under My It, which is on YouTube, on this channel, I was using the Jetboil, and I credited some of the other guys on YouTube for suggesting that you could boil a bag in the pot and not get the pot soiled and all that sort of stuff. I did that. Now granted, my canister of gas may have been low on fuel, but I felt it took ages to boil up or to heat the stuff inside the bag. It was actually kind of forming a kind of insulation, I think, and that kind of defeated the purpose of Jetboil. Jetboil being, you know, clues in the name, it's meant to be rapid. So I kind of fell out of love with that. And I wanted to find a solution that suited me. I'm not saying a better solution, but something that suited me. Okay, so not only did I kind of struggle with the heat and stuff in the bag, I also came upon another issue with Jetboil for me. These little straps, by the way, I made this myself. I trimmed off, I like modding gear sometimes, and I trimmed off straps that I never used on a rucksack, and it just formed little handy things for binding the lid on. This lid tends to pop off on occasion. One of the problems with Jetboil, if you do use it to cook directly, which is my kind of favoured option, is cleaning it. If you are not near water, or you are near water, how do you go about cleaning this if you cook directly in the pot? This little Nalgene, so it's like a thin wetsuit, 3 mil Nalgene thing. You could take this off and scrub it like any other pan, but I would wager that basically, with this being quite thin, if you took that off half a dozen times, eventually it would tear, and then that's it, gone. You've lost all the insulating things. I mean, this being the sort of flashlight, you know, we said something else there. Anyway, basically, yeah, that's all you've got to hold it with. There's no grippy handle or anything like that. So you're relying on this coating. Right, so if you take that off, it might tear. If you leave it on and you submerge it, you're in a river and you want to wash it. Now, I've already tried this in the kitchen. I've soaked it to see what would happen. Now, I had a theory that if you soak this, so you can clean it properly, I thought with the heat of the stove, it would actually dry this while it cooked your food. Wrong. What it does is it transfers the heat from the pot directly through this, heats the water in this wetsuit thing, and makes it ungrabbable. All right, you can't. I tried it and it was as hot as the stuff inside, so you can't do that. All right, now my wife has planned to do the West Island Way next year. We've always loved camping. She's loved it for years as well, but she's beginning her own little adventures as well. So I don't mean little adventures belittling it like that. I just mean that I do little adventures, she wants to do little adventures. So she's taken it off my hands, and so it's hers. I'm quite happy with that. She insists that if you get a wipe, right, she can clean it like this when she cooks. Now, if she can do that, great. I'm delighted for her. So that is now hers. Yeah, I know. Right, so here she is, okay? She has my Jetboil, okay? So what am I going to do? Now, I've taken a step back. I started my camping life with Trangia stoves, and I've had various gas stoves, and I've given stuff away. I don't actually have a lot of camping gear. I've passed it on. There's been many people sort of have come into my life who are keen to get started and stuff like that, and I've been more than happy really to just try and find a good home for stuff. You know, if it helps get people started, I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 people helped me get started along the way. So I do that. So anyway, this is a little Carrymore tiny pocket stove, which brings me on to another little tangent. No one brand makes the best of everything. No disrespect to some of the guys on YouTube, but I've seen one guy, he was dripping in OEX stuff, everything, right? His video was good and all that, and he was having a whale of a time, but no brand makes the best of everything. And I think if you do try and stick to one brand, if it's all about the brand, then you're missing out, because loads of brands are really good at different things. Even Carrymore, trusty old Carrymore. Now, Carrymore is never really considered a sort of elite, top flight brand, but even they have a place among the elite in the sort of wild camp gear outdoor world. This is half the price of a stove that I think Maple Leaf or somebody made it for like 30 odd quid, and I'm pretty sure this was about 15 quid. It is identical, titanium and everything else. Carrymore, got it Sports Direct years ago. You can't get it now, but you can buy very similar. Again, you'll pay 30 quid plus Robins and MSR and all this sort of thing. And when this fails, I will go and get one of them, no problem. But right now, this is my stove, so I've kind of retrofitted it. These are my pots. Now this is bringing back out of retirement as well. I bought this on the sort of spur of the moment in Dunkeld. Kelly kettle pots. Didn't really have a use for them, I just liked them. So I got them. So here we are, right? You've seen this before. Whoa! I stole the little tripod-y thing off of my Jetboil. Alright, because my wife will be using it with bigger canisters, so it's not so vital that she's got the tripod. So here we are. There's my little stove. Beauty of this is these little pots here sit nicely on that. This little particular stove has quite a wide head, which, like myself, right? So put that on there, okay? That goes on, no problem. And this one, why 2 pots? If you can't clean them properly, it's quite handy if you kind of have one for savoury, one for sweet. So basically, all my bags of mincy, savoury stuff go in there, and I can boil water. I can have my porridge and everything. And this one, you know, if there's a bit of cross-contamination between my porridge and my coffee, it's not the end of the world. The other good thing about these is a lot of these titanium pots that you see like this all have these little metal handles, but they're not insulated. And by anybody's admission, they heat up and you can't grab them. This one, I have actually held this for the entire duration of it being on the stove, and these never get too hot to hold. Bear that in mind. Stainless steel, Kelly kettle, not that expensive, and you can hold on to them throughout the boil, and you can get straight tucked in and eat it straight off. Right. Lastly, I'm enjoying these. Lastly, how big is it in your bag? Alright, so let's take this apart, wrap it, take that away. We all know how small that goes. Alright, we'll undo this. Okay, this is in the big pot. This goes into this one. Voila! And then against the Jetboil. Oh, wife's fallen over. She does that when she's drunk anyway. Right, so Jetboil to here. Not a lot in it. As you can see, they're a very similar girth. But definitely a little bit of difference in height. It's not going to make a world of difference. But that's the solution I'm with at the moment. It's not the best. It's working for me right now. So, thank you for watching.